Touchdown! 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 Bills make me wanna. The Bills make me wanna. The Bills make me wanna.
This is a Kmart production, brought to you by Dudzik Chiropractic and MJB Electric.
Listeners' discretion is advised. Sawbills Podcast.
Welcome to Zob Bills Podcast. If this is your first time, we discuss the Bills games while we review two different Buffalo pizzas. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the big show.
All right, welcome back to part two, folks. A little snafu. The IPA's hitting hard. Speaking of IPAs, we're having a 1927 Brewhouse Buffalo Sauce. Kind of looks like a Frank's bottle. Cayenne pepper IPA. And 7.1 alcohol by volume.
You see the company that's on the back of it, too? We make sure we mention that.
Brewed at Santora's.
With collaboration.
With the 26shirts.com.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
number 2, number 6, shirts.com. There you go. And if you care to check out 1927, it's 1927bh.com. .com. A lot of Super Bowl commercials. .com.
Remember that era? Everything was .com?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
GoDaddy.com.
Mark Cuban did well out of that, but
yeah,
that's about it.
Back when you had to say www.
Yep. Yeah. All right, so we're picking up from last week, right?
Yeah, picking up from last week. Dal, thanks for coming out 2 weeks in a row. I didn't know you had that much free time.
Frequent flyer.
Oh, shit, I wonder, we might have to do that. Hey, did you get an alert on a shirt purchase?
I most certainly did. Would it happen to be the dude?
The dude.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
That was your mother?
Mom, yeah.
Shout out Kyle's mom
I'll
for buying a shirt.
So I'll thank my mom for buying a shirt, and thank you, Del, for hooking my mom up with the secret tab.
There it is.
Or do you want me to? If you're missing a shirt, you go to the what? Limited availability.
Limited availability.
Yes, folks. So if you are missing out on a shirt because you didn't get to it fast enough, the limited availability section.
Might have it.
Okay. All right. We all love Star Wars. Okay, let's move on. All right. So the game, yeah, we talked about the game a little bit. Don't give Pat Mahomes the ball with the last shot at it. Guy always nails it.
One thing I think about when we connect the Bills to all this is what worries me with the Bills. A lot of things worry me with the Bills, but I will often wonder what would the Bills do in a situation like that, a Super Bowl, where time management, the clock management, all that matters. And I feel like, how many new teams outside of the Eagles, whatever, 3-4 years ago, win the Super Bowl? It's now trending where like the same Hall of Fame guys are winning it. I wonder, is McDermott up to that?
Oh, I'm glad you brought his name up.
In that situation. Even Josh, too. I often worry, like, even though 2 weeks leading up to that, they've never experienced it before. You got guys in the Chiefs that have done this 3 or 4 times now. That's a whole thing in itself as well.
Del, are you a Bills employee?
Am I a Bill? No.
Okay. Well, Sean McDermott needs to fucking go. So
he's not going anywhere. That's what I get
I know.
dragged into these conversations all the time, and it's just like he's not going anywhere. So why even it just is what it is.
The saving grace I have that I still recall post Bills Kansas City game is experience is what you get when you didn't get what you want. And that's the only saving grace I have is these guys have gone through it a number of times. It seemed, I think, Del, you brought it up in the bonus section there, that Andy Reid seemed to find his way with clock management. I'm hoping that McDermott can get to that point where, okay, it clicks for him. I realize, hey, you know what? We got to go for the jugular. We can't just play it safe anymore. And he reaches that point. And that's, Woody, I think what we're hoping for is both Josh Allen and McDermott learn from this experience they've had. And yeah.
So I saw something today that the Rams hired a person to coach just the time management of the game, like towards the end of the game, second half.
Is he 16? plays Madden?
No, but
Seems like that's all it takes.
That
Like,
probably work.
any kid that's played
It was a
Madden.
guy from the
Exactly.
Titans. I forgot his name. John Stryker, maybe. He was from the Titans.
Striker.
Is that with a Y or an I? It makes a difference.
I think it's IE, actually, I think.
What?
Yeah.
I before
I'm
E,
out.
except after
You
C.
want to think of that, huh?
McVay joked about that though. Like he kind of give himself a pop at that. He's like, we had to hire somebody to help
Yeah.
me do it, so I don't
Yeah.
make those mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, they hired a guy to keep him back, too, a get-back coach.
Oh, yeah, they pull him off the field.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Which, I mean, like, if that has
Where
to
can I
happen,
send my
mean,
application?
yeah.
I'd do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody mentioned streaker. Dell, did you see the streaker or streakers? Right? Was there more than one there? There's two
I think there was
with
only
just
one.
shirts off.
I think I missed both. I missed both. Sorry.
I don't know if this is true, but I heard that guy
Oh boy!
placed a bet
I heard the same story.
read
I was
this,
just
yeah.
about to say, go for
that
it.
there was going to be a streaker, and he won like big money because there was a streaker.
My employee Josh, before I left, he's like, "Hear me out." I was like, "Goodness!" And then even today, he was telling me like, "You see, that guy won all that money. All you had to do was one simple thing." I said, first of all, it's not that simple."
Yeah.
But
I would guess that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that.
go.
I think they said that they did it because they wanted internet clout, and it never actually happened. It wasn't their friend, and if it was their friend, they'd be arrested immediately. You can't just tell your friend.
No, they
you
said
can't just
he's-
place this huge bet and win $100,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No, he said
And
he's
then-
the one who made the bet, and then he ran out there.
Oh, so he made his own bet.
Even so, yeah, I think if you rig the bet, they will get you. Because DraftKings, if it's some other sort of bullshit, they won't get you. But if it's you rigging the system, they will get you. That's my take on
I guess
it.
it all depends on the details of the bet, right?
Like the real mafia in Vegas will fucking get you.
Exactly.
Like you better not come claim that ticket yourself because you're done.
Yeah.
Brendan,
And also, I will
there is
say
no
this.
mafia.
Put your mouth on a microphone so we can hear you.
Also, like the onshore betting services like
So not
DraftKings,
Cayman
FanDuel,
Islands?
they didn't offer that. It was all offshore betting, which would not give you these big high stakes bets on like
Yeah, knowing
10
that
to
somebody's
1
gonna do it.
odds that somebody's going to run naked on the field. They're not going to allow that.
So they're working the system. They know what they're doing.
I've seen Casino, all right, and I know that these guys will come out there and break their legs once you try to come out there and claim that ticket.
It is dangerous. It is dangerous to pull that in Vegas after watching Casino with their police. I'm not but Herb, I think we reached your sore spot right there. Streakers, we know never to bring that up again in the podcast.
Wait a minute.
I'm pro streakers. I want to make that very clear. I'm very pro streakers.
The women, right? The women streakers?
No, men too. If you want to do it, you do it. Yeah, men, women, everyone should streak on the field.
The logistics of streaking at the Super Bowl.
Logistics.
Logistics
Yes.
of streaking at the Super Bowl. I think the guy should get paid just for pulling it off. Like, how the hell you get on a field at the Super Bowl?
Pulling what out?
That's why I
Pulling
believe
it
it's kind of believable that this guy would have sacrificed everything for a bet.
Well, and I could be. I'll take Herb's side with that one. I mean, if you're going to streak, you got to go out, and you just got to make a show of it. You can't just get on the field and then dive and put your hands behind your back. Like, you give yourself up. Like
That was
to me
lame.
was
His
yeah.
effort was lame for sure.
He wasn't even naked, was he?
No,
Just a
no,
shirt
he had his
off.
pants on.
He had
Like,
his
come
Instagram
on.
handle. I saw the pictures afterwards. He had
Yeah.
his Instagram handle like on his.
Oh.
And I looked him up. He has like 300,000 followers. I don't know if that was before.
So he
or
probably
after the-
profited off of this somehow.
Well, and you know what? All the good streakers.
Is that
are
all we have to do to get our
sponsored by
podcast going?
Streak at the Sabres game, 14 people will see it, right?
The ice is cold, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're gonna
Shrinkage.
streak, you better fucking go full naked, and that's
was in
my
the
biggest
pool.
take on it. Like, if you're not gonna be full naked, you're not streaking.
Yeah.
You know, you're just a fucking poser.
Yep. Well said, Herb.
And that's what soccer has over football. These football streakers are fake. Soccer, you get real
Posers.
naked people running down the field. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot.
Dell's going to go back too. I don't remember this being part of the agreement.
I was not made aware that this would be part of the discussion.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with the streaking, but I was at Fenway when Cal Ripken was. It was the year he was going to break the streak, And I'm sitting there in the bleachers by the Green Monster, and two fans run out and they rush Cal Ripken. And everybody at Fenway just took a breath. We're like, oh my God. And these streakers just ran up to him. They got to Cal Ripken before the cops could get there, and they just held up and they like shook his hand, and that was it. But you could see everyone like, oh my, they're not going to take him out, are they? Because everyone was all over this streak that summer. Yeah, it was crazy. That was the only experience I've ever like really seen of a streaker where it got everybody in the stadium's attention just like that.
If it was Philadelphia, they probably would have taken him out because
Yeah,
those people are pieces of shit.
Wow.
Well, we all remember the Hank Aaron clip where the two guys went up to him and shook their hands.
Right. He hit a home run, right?
And
the 744, I think.
Yeah, Cal Ripken was 21-32 straight games. If you get a naked guy, you know he's not carrying. You know everyone's safe. He doesn't have a weapon on him.
Unless
you need to be full naked.
Unless
or
he's
else
carrying a
it's-
big
yeah.
stick. Teddy Roosevelt.
He can still be packing heat.
Yeah. It's for everyone's safety, really, if the guy's full naked.
It's thoughtful.
Yeah, you know what? You got a good point there, Herb.
Safety. It's a
Naked is the safe way to go.
It's a safety issue.
first.
Yeah.
Safety first. Go nude on the streaking. All right.
We'll take a hard right, Del.
Thank you.
Steer the ship, Sean.
Has the Super Bowl experience, is this now your tops? I know there's no Bills. I know they weren't there, but is this your tops in terms of NFL Buffalo Bill moment of your life? If it's over tomorrow, you can say, wow, this is the greatest experience I've ever had. Or are we talking Houston Oilers comeback game? Are we talking any of the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl runs?
I feel like they're two different worlds. Having gone to the Super Bowl, it's almost like this cultural event that I got to be a part of. But for me, nothing's ever. I didn't get to go to 51-3. I wasn't at the comeback game.
Yeah.
But I was there a couple years ago when they beat the pants off the Patriots in like 4-degree weather in the playoffs.
Oh,
so for me, that like as cold as that game was, I was dancing the entire. Nobody felt the cold in that stadium. Like I was dancing the entire second half, especially. And I remember telling my
That
buddy,
game was not cold. Period.
Fair enough. But I remember telling my buddy Dan that I went with, I said, they have to score, like at the beginning of the game, they have to score every time they have the ball. Every time they have the ball, they have to score. And then at the end of the game, I was like, I wasn't like serious. I was just talking. And they scored every time they had the ball.
Oh, that was the perfect game?
Yeah.
That was a perfect game, and it was one of the few times we've ever been caught watching a game. And, they scored a touchdown, and all of a sudden a Buffalo Bill comes up with the interception in the end zone.
Micah Hyde.
Micah Hyde. It was for a long-suffering Tom Brady Bills fan. You know, it was our perfect revenge game.
Yep. All-time Bills play that interception. Mm-hmm. He saves his best for the divisional games. Like, remember when he recovered that onside kick against it was Miami, right?
And he ran it for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Yep. I have sorry, go ahead, Brennan. Go.
Your question is better than mine.
Well, maybe not. This is more of a
streaking question?
Yeah. I used to. I don't listen to the radio as much as I used to, but I used to listen to the radio, and I was in the gym room a lot, and Radio Row was a thing. Is that still a thing? Is Radio Row still a thing? And did you get to see it?
I did not get to see it. They call it Media Row now.
Okay.
A lot of podcasts.
True. Yep, yeah. True. And but it was like somebody I know was there, and I talked to him on Friday. I had seen him Thursday night, and then I talked to him on Friday, and he's like, "Oh, I would have gotten if I'd have known you wanted to go there, I would have gotten you access passes, but you have to get them the day before." I was like, "Oh."
Thanks.
Yeah, all right, next time.
Why would I not want to go?
Yeah, next time. But that's still a thing, and that was something I would have been really cool. I'm not saying I wish I didn't done it because I got to do so many things that week, but it's still a thing.
It would have been cool. Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about the Bills' outlook for this upcoming year. What are your thoughts with the salary cap issues that they have, although now they've kind of been helped by, I would say, by the increase in the salary cap, but we still have issues. What are your thoughts on the upcoming season?
My thought overall with the team is you have, and I've tweeted this almost exact wording, but you have a unicorn at quarterback. Why are you not putting all of your energy onto that side of the ball? why don't you set up a team that can score 50 points a game and challenge every other team to score 51? Like,
This guy listens to the podcast.
okay, well, all right. So, but I know that with the amount of free agents they have on the defensive side of the ball, that's not what's going to happen. They're probably going to end up drafting a defensive lineman in the first round or two.
Oh, God, I hope not.
But think about it though, who they have on the line right now.
Yeah, they have nobody. Yeah.
So it's
Just Ed Oliver.
Yeah.
So and I remember somebody.
Von Miller.
Who?
I remember somebody tweeting a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, that their greatest fear was that the team would look at what the Chiefs and the Bengals were doing, and they would think, "How do we stop them?" as opposed to "How do we match what they're doing?" So I really hope that is the future for the team. I don't think it will be. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Like, we only have so many more years of prime Josh Allen. You know, in a couple of years, we're going to be on the other side of him even being able to run like he does. He's going to start feeling it more and more every Monday morning. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I couldn't agree more with you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. My hope was that, sorry if I stepped on your toes there, I actually want them to move way up in the draft and get one of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. Him or Malik Neighbors, or there's another one I'm forgetting. I can't pronounce his name.
Roman Dunze.
Yeah, there you go. That would be great because, like you said, we have Josh Allen. You got to put it all on the offensive side and just hope for the best.
Yeah, I saw somebody tweet today that, Justin Jefferson might be on the trading block. My first thought was like, no, don't go for somebody who's getting a second contract. Go get one of the talented wide receivers. Go get a couple of the talented wide receivers that are in the draft. James Cook had a breakout year this year.
Yep.
The offensive line is pretty good. They're one of the better offensive lines in the league. And I feel like you need a couple, because Gabe Davis I don't think he's coming back this year. You're going to
Kyle. That's Kyle's favorite player right there.
Is what it is. I follow him on Instagram, man. I don't know. That didn't look like I'll be back for more. It looked like a goodbye.
Yeah.
He'll probably still have a red jersey though. If I have to bet,
Texans.
No.
Chiefs.
Of course.
Can't you see it? Look at their wide receiving core. Can't you see?
He'd be great there.
And they're going to have so much room on the cap this year. Holy
But-
cow.
That's what the shitty thing about this whole thing is. I follow one of the beat reporters for Kansas City. Right after the Super Bowl, he was saying that the Chiefs were just trying to kind of get through this year.
Yep.
Like, they were not expecting, I don't think, to win a Super Bowl with that lineup that they rolled out there. The defense they loaded up on. But that's the shittiest thing about this is now they have, Patriot level, money and talent to bring in after winning all these Super Bowls already. That's the shittiest part about this whole thing.
That's the strongest counterpoint to the load up on offense, and I'm not disagreeing with your point there. I agree with that, but that's the biggest one where it's just like the Chiefs did the complete opposite of that. They had dog shit wide receivers. Who was their number one wide receiver?
Kelsey.
It was. I mean, obviously Kelsey and Rashee Rice broke out late in the year. They didn't have a number 2 receiver. If you want to go with MVS or Kadarius Toney was inactive for the important games and he sucked for the non-important games. What do you want to?
So what does that prove to you? That all you need is a quarterback and a head coach? Step up.
I don't know. I don't know what it exactly proves. I just think it's their offense or their defense was incredible. Mahomes is Mahomes.
Now, speaking of counterpoints,
I don't know.
Think about it this way. I know this isn't a pro Sean McDermott audience right now.
No, it's probably just me.
Okay, well, think about this though.
Me too.
How that defense performed with the limited resources it had. If anything, if he wants to get more defensive talent through the draft or free agency, if I'm Bean, I'm like, no, man, sorry, you ruined it for yourself. You don't get prime talent because you've proven that you can take, low grade players, or at least unproven players. That's not fair to call them low grade.
Yep.
Unproven players, and make them do something and make them perform. Look at Bernard and Cam Lewis and all these players that AJ Klein came off the couch and had 20 tackles in that defensive scheme. So McDermott has shown that he's able to make do with whomever you give him. So I don't know. You have to bring in prime players. I mean, Von Miller, they brought him in. He's not been able to do a lot. McDermott seems to do better with just give me your attention. Just give me your attention. I will teach you how to defend in this scheme.
I was going back and forth with some dudes on a side text about this exact point. And for me, if you look at the last 15 to 20 Super Bowl champions, who is the team that's running out there like just an average defensive line and average linebackers hoping to win a Super Bowl? I just don't think that happens. I think it's one thing to get to the playoffs and beat maybe Burrows, maybe you beat Mahomes doing that. But to be a Super Bowl champion, I think you have to have a really good, stout defense too.
Defense wins championships.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I know, like we obviously should get caught up.
Offense gets you there.
We should get caught up in the Mahomes factor. I get that, but I think you can try and outscore everybody you want, but there are good defenses that seem to win that Super Bowl every year.
Well, and this was like the best defense that Mahomes has had with him this year, and they really did turn it up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the answer then is like you mentioned a moment ago: quarterback, head coach, strong defense. I don't know. It's funny just because I made a funny tweet 10 or 12 years ago. People think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to football.
You sound like you do, actually.
I can talk a good game. I always say whatever I say, go the opposite direction. That's probably what's going to happen.
It'll always bother me. There was the Trent McDuffie went 21, and Elam went, I think it was 22, the pick after. And that could have been the difference between the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl or not.
Yeah,
it could have been as simple as that.
Well, there's an element of luck. Any team that's won a championship, Bruins 2011, you have to have luck on your side. That's why I tell my kids, I'm like, listen, there's certain things you can draft great, you can have the best quarterback in the world, but you got to get lucky, and that's ridiculous to say in a multi-billion-dollar company, but that's what you really need to do. You got to hope that there's no injuries or limited injuries. You got to hit the irons right, and the Bills they have the pieces. They've got the potential. They just need the luck. They need the breaks.
Okay, so who are the Bills letting walk and who are they keeping? Like, is Elam staying around? They letting him go? Is Diggs staying and going?
Elam's not going anywhere because he's still on his rookie contract.
Right.
Are they going to play the dude?
You know what?
What do you do with Trey White if and when he comes back?
Trey White's probably going to be more like a player coach type thing. I think if the only way they keep him is if he agrees to take a massive pay cut. Otherwise, I think that's a cap casualty. It'll be up to him, but I just don't see how you can pay him a ton of money.
So because they were so, what's the word I'm looking for? Short at linebacker, and you get AJ Klein in, who's kind of a slower player. Trey White comes back. Are they going to, they're going to be okay with that? I mean, what's the difference? You bring back AJ Klein, you bring back Trey White. Is it all about money at that point?
As a starter,
did they get AJ Klein cheap to come back?
I think he's a depth guy at best now with Trey White. I think you can just get Elam. It's like an NHL goalie. You got to be a little bit patient. Some of these guys show up right away. He had a bad go at it.
But then he had that interception when he came in. And
I think you got to stay patient. I think he's a serviceable athlete.
Trey White.
Yeah,
he's guaranteed $10 million this year.
Ugh.
And he can receive up to $16 million this year. You might be able to get him to take a small pay cut.
Send Josh over to his house with a nice basket of candy.
Other than that, he's probably on the team.
Okay, all right.
So there's that.
So you got
have to among free agents, you have to resign DaQuan Jones. That's
Yes.
It has to happen.
Who had a better season, him or Ed Oliver?
They play different roles.
Jones was hurt.
Yeah, Jones.
He was out. Daquan Jones was out. You don't really. It's hard.
But when he was in,
he was awesome.
Oliver played well without Daquan in there, but then
They play so well together. They're just it's almost a different position, I'd say.
Okay.
You got the one guy who takes up double teams, and you got the one penetrator who rushes the passer. You need both. You can't have one or the other.
Okay.
Do we pick up Russo's option?
Absolutely.
I
Epinesa?
think so, but
Epinesa's gone.
Yeah, I don't think
Epinesa's going to get some sort of
he flashed
4 years.
Fantasy football.
$52 million contract or something ridiculous that you didn't expect from
like the Tremaine Edmonds deal.
He might go to the Bears.
Right,
I saw some Bears beat reporter that the tweet the other day that the team very well may have an interest in Epinesa.
I'm wondering if the Bills didn't play Epinesa enough.
I think they played him at the end of the year, but he wasn't. He
That
didn't
London
show
game.
up.
He didn't have a
he
sack.
wasn't-
He didn't have a sack after like November 15th.
The only thing I know about him is his long arms.
Well, and the same thing with Rousseau, and Rousseau didn't have much
He
for the
bats
first half of the
balls, that's
season.
it.
Rousseau, I read something that he was like second in the NFL against the run from a defensive end perspective. Like, so
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's serviceable for sure.
Okay.
I think we keep Rousseau.
we had a solid group of defensive line solid players, but we didn't have many disruptors. We had Ed Oliver was a disruptor,
Yeah.
and then it was
Contain.
I mean
Hope to.
when we had Daquan and he was at full strength, Daquan and Oliver, that's a disruptive pair. And if you have Vaughn and he's at full strength, like from 2022, that's a disruptor.
So
right
you're
there.
telling me if you had, let's say, a Daquan fully healthy, Ed Oliver healthy, and you had like a Bosa on the end who's actually a real disruptor,
We don't have.
that's all you really need. I know you don't, and I don't know if we will get a guy like that. I was hoping that was going to be Rousseau.
Del, where are you with Von Miller? We kind of got a split table here in terms of we still believe in him in terms of, and the other side says the injuries have just caught up to him.
You're very polite saying that we're split on that.
Hey, listen, just right. So, I mean, do you think there's a future? We saw glimpses at the tail end of the playoff run where he was there. He was at least in the camera shot. Do you think he's got a second act as a Buffalo Bill?
Oh, I think his contract demands it, doesn't it? Doesn't he
Yeah.
have one more year?
Yeah, at least
So
one
he
more year.
definitely
At
has a
least.
second act. That's for sure.
We're stuck.
Yeah.
We're
So,
stuck for one more year.
when you look at the fact that you're going to have more than likely younger players on the defense this coming season, whether it's through the draft or whatever, having somebody with his experience off the field stuff notwithstanding. But if you have somebody with his experience, I think he could be a good mentor. But in terms of on the field stuff, well, I mean, he's going to have a whole other offseason now, right? So I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm torn as well. Inside, I'm torn too because just like I mentioned before with McDermott, like he's not going anywhere. So I know it's a podcast, so the irony here, but like I don't know the point in talking about it because he's not going anywhere.
Right.
So Von Miller's going to be on the team next year. We can just wait and see.
Right.
What he's going to.
If we've got to be a little glum with possibly Von Miller's future, how excited are you about Kincaid's future?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm
about a hit.
thrilled. Yeah. I think they could use him even more. You look at like Sam Laporta with the Lions, and Kincaid's got that same ability. He's got the exact same ability as Sam Laporta, I think. So, the best pass catching tight end in the draft last year is what they said, and he seemed to live up to it. Except for the one time he had the wrong gloves on, he was missing all his I get so frustrated when the equipment fails.
Yeah.
Just like the playoff game against the Bengals the year prior. Like there's the Bills on the snowy field are slipping around. Like, what are you doing? Anyway. I digress. But yeah, Kincaid, good.
The best possible thing that could happen for the Bills offseason.
Let's hear
And
it.
it's not a Justin Jefferson trade, as much as I love that. It's not anything else other than Von Miller being suspended by the NFL. And they can get out of that contract. That would be the literal best thing that could happen for the Bills.
Because how many guys could you get with that?
How much? Like $20 million on the cap? That would be a massive. That would be ridiculous for the Bills to be able to get out of that contract. It's not going to happen.
Hey.
But
anything's possible, right? Because who thought the Chiefs would grab the punt god? Right?
I mean, we could all, like, as a podcast, we could do, like, one of those investigative journalist type deals where we start, like, participating in the investigation. And we help the Texas police solve this crime. And, like, it could be, we could help them and they could help us. Like,
I do have the criminal justice degree background.
We've got a true crime podcast coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
I love true crime. Let's do it, Herb. Me and you. We'll start a side cast. Whoever else wants in.
I saw you brought up the punk out. I saw somebody. I think it may have been DiBiase. Someone tweeted, "Why is everybody so upset? We don't make them punt anyway."
I was about to tweet
Oh,
the other day.
jeez.
I just didn't want to deal with all the replies, but I almost tweeted like, "It's February 22nd. I'm not getting upset about a punter."
Right.
It's just, and that's what it was always so funny when they drafted him. It's like they were coming off a season where literally we were bragging about never punting, and so it was just like a nice to have.
It would have been nice to have him though when Sam Martin was hurt, and then there's like, oh yeah, he's cleared, and then he clearly was not ready to go.
Yeah, but I mean, I think people forget what that weekend was like when all those stories came out about him. The Bills are gearing up for what they think is going to be a Super Bowl run. They had just lost 13 seconds. They came out gangbusters. You remember all the talk going into that season, and in the first few weeks of that season, the Bills are winning the Super Bowl. Bills are winning the Super Bowl. The last thing they needed a distraction from, the last thing they needed was a distraction from, whatever the word is, distraction from a punter who they're not even going to use. And so we can all look back a year and a half later and say, oh, they totally screwed the pooch on that. But if you remember in that moment, and you remember, like, those allegations were heinous. And, whatever came out of that or whatever happened, I just remember Sean McDermott at that press conference following the preseason game. I don't know if you guys remember, he was like looking downcast. Like he was really upset by those allegations. Like we all were. They're disgusting. So it's so much easier for us to sit on our smartphones and tweet about like, oh yeah, they totally, messed this up. But if you can transport yourself back to that moment, like they didn't have a choice, really. Right. I mean, you can say they had a choice, but really, realistically, PR wise, they're not the Chiefs. They haven't won a Super Bowl. They don't have that, And
if there's one position you really don't think out of a 52-man roster you're going to get burned by. I mean, if he's an all-star receiver, if he's a great quarterback, if he's a great defensive tackle, that's one thing. If you're getting burned by a punter, that's on you.
Hey, dude! Special teams win some big games.
They do.
And
right? Look at our fucking kicker.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You can't have your coach answering 15 punter questions every fucking post game. Whoa, what did your punter do? Wait, we saw in the media that he said this today. What? No, you can't have it. Fuck him, punt him. Cut him.
Hey, Herb, speaking of kickers, is Bass here or is he gone?
You're excluded from this, Dell.
You gotta pay this. You gotta pay Bass as like a top 5 kicker, which sucks everything.
You can't draft a new
It sucks
guy?
all
What?
the things. Sucks all the things that end in CK. You gotta pay this guy. You gotta pay him top 5 kicker money this year. Maybe top 10, I don't know, but you're committed to him. And like if he sucks like 8 weeks into the year, yeah, you got to cut him and you got to take the cap hit, but like you're stuck with him going into the year, I think.
You think Josh Allen
signed through 2027 with a
like they signed him to a real a legit like a Matt Prater in his prime type kicker contract.
Hey, does Josh Allen kick?
Probably as good
better
as
than
Tyler
Bass.
Bass. Fucking A. One more beer. Let's get Gronk out there to fucking kick this shit.
No.
Bass was really good for them up until last year,
and then got kicked in the head by a mule. But I don't know.
Kicking is a confidence thing for sure. I mean, he was cold as ice those first couple of years. You could tell he kind of had that swagger to him, and then last year it just kind of fell off. And the minute a kicker loses confidence, it's like when you're golfing. You know where the ball's going to go. Same thing happened with him. So, I mean, I guess the counter argument to that is I don't know if Justin Tucker or Prater have ever had that down year. Where they sucked, but.
Is there like a kicker university, like tight end university?
I know, right?
Kittle puts on?
Maybe
it's a good question. It never seems like those guys that you talked about had bad years.
That's what I'm saying.
They were just consistent every single year.
Yeah, he was pretty bad. He was kicking knuckleballs for like 3 months.
Yeah, that was weird. That was just total confidence shank thing going on with him. And McDermott commented on that too at the end. He said, "There's nobody else on this team that'll work harder than him to get it back." He goes, he's got to say it obviously, but he says, "I'm confident he'll get it back." So I think he's even admitting, he knew that that Bass he had lost his confidence.
Well, now if he's going to start getting paid, that's even more pressure for him. So if he's not handling the pressure well, then this is not going to help.
He's like you mentioned a moment ago. He's always been ice in his veins up until this season. So maybe it's an anomaly. And honestly, I've not paid close attention to Prater and Tucker year to year to year. Mainly just because of fantasy. I even stream my kickers in fantasy. Every week I just pick up one kicker. So I don't pay close enough attention. Maybe they've had a down year here and there. Maybe not. I don't know. But
they have. I think Prater did have a shit year, but kickers, it's possible that they just lose their confidence and then they're just dead and they're done.
But look at the Chiefs kicker.
It's possible.
Butker. That guy's going to probably turn out to be a Hall of Fame kicker on top of all this too. He hasn't missed anything.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It seems like the Chiefs just hit on everything.
Yeah,
It
just sucks.
that is really fucking annoying that Butker is just
Money.
automatic.
That's part of the
What was it
story.
in the 13-second game?
Yeah, he bombing 50-some
What was it,
yarders.
a 56-yarder?
Yeah.
To end, it was late in the game.
He's part
He
of
just-
this
or
dynasty
It was
story.
late in half, but I remember him hitting a big 55 plus yarder that could have changed the outcome of that game and turned it into the Bills winning in regulation quite easily.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the issue that you always had with the Patriots too, is they always had fucking what's his name?
Gostkowski.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Polak.
Vinatieri.
Vinatieri, yeah.
Yeah, and they were just money every single game. Never had a bad year with them.
Never.
Fucking A.
It's really fucking annoying.
Who was the kicker with the Colts? When was it Vinatieri? Was it
No,
Vinatieri?
Vanderjack.
With
Idiot
Peyton
kicker.
Manning,
I was waiting
idiot
to
kicker,
bring him up.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning called him idiot kicker. Love it.
Nice.
Mike Vanderjagt, he had one earring and he was talking shit about how Peyton Manning was not a leader in the huddle and he was and the word got back to fucking Peyton Manning at the Pro Bowl and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Our idiot kicker."
Oh, that's the story. Yeah.
That's the one player I really, really, really wanted to meet at the Super Bowl was Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I was on the lookout for him. He's my all-time favorite non-Bill player.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
See that.
Seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
He's great on SNL too.
Yeah.
I every now and then I'll pull up the YouTube video of his monologue for the ESPYs a few years back, whenever it was. He's hysterical.
He can just deadpan a line.
Yeah.
Eli's good too.
Yeah.
Eli is pretty funny too.
Yeah. He had a whole section of, they want you to come up here and tell jokes that are offensive, and I would not do that. And he reaches in his pocket and pulls. He goes, "These are a list of those jokes they wanted me to say, but I won't say it." And he starts reading them off. It was hysterical. Yeah, yeah. Idiot kicker.
Idiot kicker. All right. Sean?
I can find a way. It's all about how long you have. Anything from the Super Bowl that we didn't cover that you're like, Mom, you're going to drive home tonight and be like, I can't believe I didn't bring up that story.
Any regrets from the...
No regrets.
No regrets, okay.
Regrets. Yeah, I don't know.
Is it all a blur, or is it one of those things where you're so dialed in because of the experience, you remember it all?
Honestly, I'm normally pretty good at forgetting stuff, but during those 4 days, each day is kind of encapsulated, what I did that day. And plus, because I've told the story, my parents, they want to hear all about what happened.
Yeah.
My in-laws tell us, everything that happened. It was really cool. It's fun. I was surprised how many Bills jerseys I saw.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, it's the Super Bowl. All the teams are represented. Well, I didn't see, aside from the fan of the year, I didn't see one Chargers jersey. I didn't see a Rams jersey. I didn't see a Panthers jersey. There were so many Bills jerseys there. And one couple I met, they said, well, they got good in December, so we just bought a ticket just in case. And we were going to sell it, but we figured, let's just go. It's Vegas.
You talking about a Bills fan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was. I saw. I would say in terms of the number of different fans. Obviously, there was 49ers fans. There was Chiefs fans. Bills are probably in the top 5 or 6 in terms of the number of jerseys I saw.
America's team.
Loop it back to Disney briefly. We used to go and we used to see sacrificial families. Like there was always one family. The entire family was dressed in Bills gear. We would kind of look over our shoulders and be like, always one family.
That was probably my family.
You're right. Always dressed in Bills gear, head to toe. And this was before Josh Allen. And you would pity them from a distance, but quietly you'd be like, we know exactly what you're going through. Nowadays, you go anywhere outside of the state, outside of Bills country, and you see people adoring the blue, the red, the white, the Bills.
Which is annoying. Like, where were you guys 10 years ago?
Right. They're well represented in these different theme parks throughout, which is good. I think a lot of it's Josh Allen. He's a very likable, Peyton Manning-esque quarterback. He's got that good old boy kind of all-American vibe to him. Yeah. And he backs it up. He's that talented. He's that good.
Yeah, I don't care. They shouldn't. Don't wear that stuff if you weren't wearing it. If you weren't wearing it 10 years ago, and if you were ashamed of it 10 years ago, don't wear it to Disney now.
Right.
Don't wear it. But no. But Josh Allen is just a beautiful human being, and I always make the joke that he's the one man that every wife in Western New York probably has a hall pass for.
That's
and
a good
he's
one.
the one man
Not
that every
mine.
husband probably has a hall pass for.
First question, how many times, have you met him, and then how many times? Follow up.
I've met him once or twice, never at length, to be honest with you. He does work with West Her. We do work with West Her, so the few times that I've been able to cross paths with him has been at like a West Her event. But it was cool. The first time I met him, he shook my hand and said, "I love what you do." And I was like, "Oh, Josh Allen knows what I do."
Dell has a hall pass.
Don't listen, Josh. No, it's all good. Don't be weird next time I see you. Yeah, he's been nice, polite to meet and everything. I've had a lot of interactions with Dion Dawkins, if we're talking about like current players and stuff like that. It's funny, real quick story. So he reached out to me in 2019. I get this email from a Gmail account, and it's like Dion Dawkins at. That's not it. Never mind. Never scrub that. But just I get an email from him, and it just says Buffalo Bills Dion Dawkins in the subject line. I'm like, what? And it's like, hello, Mr. Reid. I'm looking to launch a clothing brand, and I understand that you're somebody. Would you be willing to talk to me? I'm like, dude, come in. And so he is like May, it would have been like April of 2019. Maybe it was March. He showed up. There was nobody else in the office that day, the way it worked out. It was just me. He comes in. He was in the office for about an hour. And the first 45 minutes we spent talking about what we thought was going to happen in Avengers Endgame. and then the last 15 minutes, it was like, okay, so how can I help you? And, we kind of helped like him launch his Snow brand and everything. And, but he's such a awesome guy. Like just the realest person you're gonna meet. It's kind of funny. Like one time, he had to drop off a bunch of his hoodies that we were helping, sell for him, at my house. And he had a lot of boxes of hoodies, and we're bringing them all to the house, and we're standing in the driveway talking, and he's like, "Yo, I think your neighbor's like staring at me out the window." And Eileen next door is a sweetheart. And I'm like, roll up the nobody listening to this podcast can see me acting like roll up the window or open the window. So she rolls open the window. She goes, "Hi, Mr. Dawkins." She's like 70-something years old. He's like, "Hello, miss." And she says, "Are you playing Sunday?" Because I think he had some injury designation. He's like, "I can't speak to that, but we'll see." She goes, "Okay, it was nice meeting you." And she closes the window. He's like, "I'm totally playing Sunday, but I can't say that." But he's just a normal guy, I love him to death. Hopefully he's a Bill for life. But trying to think of who else. Reid Ferguson has been great to work with on a couple different projects and everything. Another just genuine human.
Is he the magician or his brother?
Maybe his brother. I don't know. I don't
No.
remember.
Different long snapper. Different long snapper.
That's,
Okay, I'll take that out of this.
John Dornbos.
Okay, thank you, Herb.
Yep. Check that. He's right. Fact check. That's correct.
You know what? Half the time, Herb doesn't even know where the hell he is.
Herb. He's the one
He's
that
got the numbers on the contracts. He's like, he's guaranteed $20
He's a
million.
savant when it comes to that stuff.
He's the one that snapped the ball through the McDonald's drive-through window too, isn't he?
Dornbos?
Wasn't he the same guy that did that too?
Dornbos could do a lot of things, and he is a magician in his own right, but I don't want to get into Dornbos. It's too upsetting for a lot of the audience. It's too triggering for a lot of people, but he's been through a lot.
Thank you, Herb. That's a very astute observation about a long snapper that I've never heard of before. That was fantastic, buddy.
He's an incredible person, John Dornbos.
All right. That's good.
Is it Bose or Boss? Dornbos.
Dornbos.
Okay. All right.
He's got that grammar, spelling, punctuation. Herb's on fire. I was rooting for Deion Dawkins for fan of the year. Similar
fan of the year.
I was rooting for
I'm staring at the fan of right here.
wonder I
staring
lost.
at the fan of the year while I'm thinking of Deion. Terrible concoct, terrible mix. No,
Deion's great. He's
Walter Payton.
Walter
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, not to bring her back into this one, but like when we're talking about the streakers, if you're not fully, like, you know, I feel it's a little cheap. Of course, the star quarterback's going to do all this stuff, but, you know, a guy in the trenches like Deion Dawkins, I want to see a guy like that who does a ton with the community get that patch on his jersey.
Absolutely.
And I was rooting for him and pulling for him, upsetting that, you know, he wasn't able to get that, but you know, what he does for the community in a similar way that Josh Allen does, he's more than deserving, you know, to get the Walter Payton.
And I've done certain things with him. When I knew of a little boy who was going through something, and I reached out to Reid and him, and they were so helpful and like helping make a moment special for the kid. And you know, they just were like, "What do you need?" Just big hearts.
I want to circle back real quick because you brought up fan of the year. Did you know before they announced who it was? Did you know that you didn't get it, or did you find out in that moment?
I found out in that moment.
Ooh. I was just curious because they had the Green Bay guy up on stage later, so he must have known ahead of time, right?
He may have.
Okay, so that's an I can't
that
answer
guy.
that.
He's a cool guy
Well-
too. He didn't like. It's not like if he did know ahead of time, it's not his fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not his fault. Like he would have been put in a position.
Can we create some sort of rivalry with one of the fans at least? Like, there's one of them that had to get on your nerves at least.
Okay, so he didn't get on my nerves, but my wife really loved him to death. But the Giants fan, he's like in his 70s or something. He's like, hey, we're meeting. Hey, how are you? Hey, wide right. And I was like, buddy, you don't just like. He's like. I was like, it's a little too soon. I was a little too soon.
So
You know, like you got the trophy. Isn't that enough? You have to like say why, right? Like you don't know.
That's a
like
good
the
way to start a fight.
Emotional
Yeah.
scars.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't fight 70-years though. Like
I think
Well,
you do
when
if
he
they
says
say
that, you
wide
do.
right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
I'll bet her off when you say
a
that.
geriatric ass kicking.
But it's funny because he said that after I said, "Hey, I have no ill will towards the Giants. I know they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, but they beat the Patriots twice. So that felt like Bills Super Bowl wins to me because I'm petty." And that's he goes, and then wide right. I'm like,
Okay.
all right, come on, dude. I was just pumping your tires.
No,
like, you
fuck
know,
the Giants forever and fuck that. What's his name?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
What's
Here we
his
go.
name and address and phone number?
Here we go.
I want to tell you guys just a real quick story just to the character of this guy, of Dell. So my wife and I are watching, and really that because we knew Josh wasn't going to get the MVP, right? I mean, that was just horrible. So the only one we were invested in was the fan of the year. So we're watching it. They announced the Green Bay, and I text him immediately. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You know, wanted you. And, you know, his response, if it was me, I'd have been like, yeah, well, you know, it would have been nice if I won. But no, his response is, nah, he's a great guy. He deserves it. I mean, that's the kind of guy that Dell is, and you know, kudos to you for that.
thank you. It's true though. He's a great guy, and he raised a ton of money for St. Jude this June. And I told him, since we actually did the shirts for that project that he did in June, he went to 30 different NFL cities in 30 days on his own dime, raising money for St. Jude. But we did all the shirts for that tour, the 26 shirts. And I told him, I said, listen, we were part of that fundraising. I get 1% of Fan of the Year. And he said, okay. So I am 1% NFL Fan of the Year. And
Yeah, you wouldn't have got
Tom will
anywhere
speak to
without me. That's what you should have said.
He's probably like, I probably would have been okay. But no, he really is a great, genuine guy. And ultimately, like when the Bills told me that I was Fan of the Year, and then they said a few minutes later, like, oh, and then in Vegas they're gonna announce the NFL Fan of the Year, and I immediately said, I don't care. Like Bills are all that matter. I don't care if like beat out some guy on the other side of the country as the NFL fan of the year. So whatever.
Yeah, but you do some good stuff, so you are a fan of the year. That's for sure.
Thanks,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What'd you think about Hamlin getting beat out by Flacco?
That's okay. That is crazy to me. Like, yeah, I think even Flacco said like in the weeks prior, he said like, "Don't vote for me." And I guess he had the most second place votes, and that's why he won. Like DeMar actually had more first place votes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had more first place votes, but I don't know. Whatever it is, but it was weird scoring system that gave it to Flacco, and which I think was. I mean, he came off the couch. Was he dead on the couch or was he? Because I
don't think he was dead. I think Hamlin died and came back to life. So I think like Hamlin deserved it, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, like anytime you can like literally resurrect and get on the football field, like just he set foot on the football field in a preseason game, that's comeback player of the year. I don't care. Come on.
Do you think that god awful fourth down fake punt is what cost him?
Could have doomed him.
Comeback player of the year.
I don't think it cost him. I think it might have. No, it doesn't matter because all the voting is done before.
That's
For the
player. So that's an interesting delineate. We want to make sure that the voting itself happens before the playoffs start. Correct.
That's my understanding. That's why Lamar Jackson is the MVP.
Exactly. That's what I thought it was, and that's what we thought it was when we were talking about it. But
Pretty sure because it's all done.
It almost seems like when they decide these votes that they also bring in playoffs into it.
It does seem that way, but I guess that's my understanding. But whatever, whatever the script calls for.
Do you think Hamlin's on the roster next year?
Yes, because you have suddenly a dearth of players at the position. I mean, Micah Hyde technically isn't on his contract is expired, so are they going to bring him back? Maybe, possibly. He might even retire. You don't know. He's got experience in the system, so I think he's definitely in camp. I think he's going to be on the active roster in September.
Would Bills Mafia lose their mind if the Bills let him go?
No, he's booty.
I don't think he is. He played well, like in the season when he got hurt. But Bills Mafia, we lose our minds for a day and then we go back to the Bills the next day.
Everything, and anything. The punter,
the punter.
I'll never forget how furious I was at Hamlin about 3 plays before what happened because he didn't cover. What's his name? Hurst.
Wasn't T. Higgins? Oh no, maybe
no. The tight end
Hurst.
Hayden Hurst. I was so mad at him because he didn't he totally bid on a fake and he just didn't cover Hayden Hurst on a just wide open 11-yard play. And then he just physically died on the field and I felt very
guilty.
How could you not feel guilty? I still feel guilty for even yelling at him about that horrible missed assignment.
Herb, you weren't the only fan who went through that experience.
I remember being here and feeling that way because I was tearing him apart.
Yeah,
because he was playing not that great. I felt like,
him.
And then he, I guess, kind of died, and I was like, "Oh,
no, he did.
Be quiet." I mean,
yeah.
Who was here that night watching it with us?
I was here that night.
3 of us, and who? Oh,
that was quite the experience. Well, here's my big takeaway. I think the Bills losing the playoffs, losing all these awards, we're ripe to win everything next year. So, Dell, I'm pulling for you again to repeat because the Bills Fan of the Year is going to win the Walter Payton Award, the Comeback Player. I don't know who it's going to be, but we're going to win that one too, and we're going to win a Super Bowl all next year.
Kicker of the year too.
Ooh,
also punter of the year as well.
How many years have they been doing the Fan of the Year?
I think 21 was the first year, and thank you for that sentiment. But I don't think you're allowed to repeat, year after.
Well, that was my
year.
next question. That was my next question because there's been repeat Walter Payton guys or no?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, Deion's been nominated more than once.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But yeah, so it's cool. Like Bills Elvis, John Lang was Fan of the Year last year, and the year before that was a gentleman named Gino Allport out in Rochester. So I'm fine with somebody else having a turn. Hopefully, they get to watch the Bills win the Super Bowl in person.
And don't take this the wrong way, but I would trade your Fan of the Year for a Super Bowl.
totally taken that the wrong way.
I was waiting for you to say so would I.
Yeah, right?
I absolutely would. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was going to say the Bills, though, are kind of have an uphill battle next year with winning the division and actually having to play all the division winners next year and struggling with this cap and everything. Like, it's going to be another tough year next year for sure.
You know who said that though? Kansas City said that last year. So I'm game for whatever. I think you know what.
Yeah,
Were
but
you
I-
in their locker
I remember
room?
that Kansas City fucking won some Super Bowls before that.
Last year they're like,
Fucking-
oh, you know,
nobody
what?
gives a shit.
Absolutely.
But I also remember us all saying how that stretch of Kansas City and Dallas and Philadelphia was going to be the detriment to us, where we ran through those teams and then lost the close games against the teams we should have won.
Yep.
If we can just turn that around, we can compete with anybody. We just have to play a full 60 minutes. We have to manage the clock right. All the things we've talked about. All
Stay
season.
healthy, yeah.
Yeah, and
That was a huge thing. Like we talk about how good McDermott was on coaching up the defense, but imagine if he had like the talent. Milano,
Yeah.
right.
Just Milano.
yeah.
Yeah, they got to have a season where they just luck out with injuries, and it hasn't happened the last couple of years.
They had a few years there, like 17, 18, not 19 because that's when Trey went, but like they had a couple of years where like everybody was playing, like they used up all those good vibes. I guess.
Yeah.
Del, I have a really weird hypothetical question for you. You say that we all want to win a Super Bowl bad. How bad
Nope.
do you want it?
What would you?
I mean,
What would you
I'm
take?
retaining all my body parts. If that's
No. This is worse. Worse. Would you take a Bills Super Bowl if the Bills had to hire Bill Belichick on the staff?
I think you phrased
Originally it was head coach.
Head coach.
Originally it was head coach.
Let's start with that.
Question.
Head coach.
Can he be the guy that holds Sean McDermott back, like Sean McVay has that guy?
I'm sensing a no right there.
Sign me up.
And this is the beauty of the question because it really
It's torn.
racks your
Your
brain.
hatred of
Like,
Belichick, but you want a Super Bowl
like
bad.
it's fire and ice all at the same time.
Yeah.
This is also I don't want to say split, maybe 2/3, 1/3 in terms of the view.
Well, the question really is: it's not would you be okay with or would you accept a Super Bowl win with Bill Belichick as a Bill?
Right.
The question is, what outweighs your what weighs more on your scales? Is it pettiness or is it the desire for a championship? I don't know.
So, yeah.
real
Great
petty,
way.
dude.
What's your answer?
I'm real petty when it comes to the
So
Patriots.
if Belichick
hard. It's
guarantees
hard.
you a Super Bowl, would you bring him in here? That's really it.
like through fate, it's going to happen.
Guaranteed.
Deal
Signed
with
by
the
the
devil.
devil.
Oh, sign me up. Sign me up.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
On staff. I don't want him as the head
See,
coach.
I wouldn't do it.
I say fuck
respect-
Bill Belichick.
I
and I'll
respect
take
that.
no Super Bowl.
Dennis,
I
I'm with
respect
you
that.
on that. No, here's why. The guy's done it so much in other places. I need a guy that it's got to be part of our story.
Yeah.
It's got to be
Yeah.
organic, not that piece of shit.
So
Ask the Buccaneers though. The Buccaneers fans, like, are you okay with that
good
Super
point.
Bowl?
I know, good point.
they probably are, though, right?
I'm sure.
I'll do anything with Bill Belichick on national TV after the Super Bowl with the confetti flying
Anything?
to win a Super Bowl.
You'll do anything with them?
We'll make out. I don't care.
That's the Buffalo fan base right there.
And that's beautiful in itself.
I don't know about that, but
mark that down because that's going to be something we got to.
No, that's a whole story, and the world needs to see it.
I like that better than Dick Sporting Good right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Save that one. 58-22. Yeah.
What the?
See,
doing the mic?
The way that I look at it is that
Stop groping
like
that thing.
Del, all the stuff you do for 26 shirts that makes me feel better as a Bills fan. For all the losing that we do, all the times that we have the 13 seconds or the wide right, all that good stuff. So you do what you do, I feel like kind of makes up for it. So to have Bill Belichick come in here and win us a Super Bowl, yes, I'd be happy we won the Super Bowl, but it wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't be right.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like and it would be really weird because I've done a lot of anti-Bill Belichick shirts over the years, like several. I remember when there was rumors that the Bills were going to hire Rex Ryan. I remember I was just putting all the foot jokes onto Twitter as possible. Like, I got to get these all out of my system. I was like, bang, 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 bang. And looking back, like you talk about how it feels cheap. It would feel cheap if the Bills won a Super Bowl and Bill Belichick, like you don't have our story.
You'd have an asterisk up next to it or something, right?
Well, that's something that Bill Belichick is probably used to as asterisks. But,
Yeah.
But where was I just going with that? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. But
The Bills have had a losing history, but I would say that Dell, in his own way, he's a loser too.
Dell, meet her.
wait, are you Joe329862 on Twitter?
It's a good thing, you know. Yeah.
Herb,
Now-
where were you going with that?
I don't know. he must have been confusing the.
Are you practicing your cameo?
You'd have to listen to the last few podcasts to understand.
That's fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
Del, I don't know how superstitious you are, but have you thought of what you would design or what you would come up with if and when the Bills?
Oh, we've designed it, dude.
You already have it.
We've
You
designed
have
stuff.
it ready to go, locked away in a safe. Ready
It
to
changes
go.
every year because it's like a little bit different, but there's stuff. Well, we don't have a championship design. We have like if they go to the Super Bowl, we have
Okay.
several designs queued up, ready to go. One of which is a superb owl, just because I want the shirt. Nobody else is going to buy it. I just want it. But we have like several designs like set up. All we have to do is like push launch and they're there. We haven't really thought through if they win one yet. Let's get into the game first, and then we'll be ready for it. But we would probably do a championship shirt every week for a year. If they, you know what I mean? Honestly, it's like, guess what? Remember last year we won it, stuff like that. So there would be no, end to that. And I've always said, if the Bills, when the Bills get good, when they win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be absolutely insufferable on Twitter. Like, just be prepared.
Twitter, cry or no cry.
Quiet.
If they win a Super Bowl, are you bawling your eyes
Oh,
out?
I'm
Or
sure. I'm sure.
Are you gonna chest out, proud, very or?
Probably both.
Yeah, we'd love to ask all of our guests whether or not you would bawl your eyes.
Oh my
out
gosh.
if the Bills.
Fun side note, you just reminded me of a story. Not 100% related, but whatever. We're so far off the rails on some of these things. So I always, whenever Taron Johnson comes up, I always say that he's the one that made my daughter cry. Because if you remember in the playoffs, he had that pick six against Lamar Jackson. Bills win that game. Back then, we didn't know that Lamar Jackson was just crap in the playoffs, but so it felt special. It felt special, but so I look over and my daughter, that whole season, that was the COVID season, right? So we watched every single game together, and it was actually really special in the midst of all that pandemic stuff. It was really special to have those core memories with the kids. And she's probably what years? So she's 17 at that point. And I look over and she's crying because she's so happy and excited. And that's when I was like, I knew we got her as a Bills fan. Like, you're locked in. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the pain. You enjoy this, But anyway, so you talk about crying. I always say that, he's the one that made my daughter cry.
So it's funny you say that because I remember during the 13-second game, my son was crying after that game. And I said, listen, you're a Buffalo Bills fan. You better strap in because this is what fucking happens when you're a Buffalo Bills fan. We don't win these games. We lose. You go through a great season. You have to have some sort of anticipation of losing these games. When we win, it's fucking amazing because we won. But you expect to lose as a Buffalo Bills fan.
This is like the birds and the bees talk with your kids.
It really is.
I feel this is more important.
Every Bills parent has to have this talk with their kid.
Come sit down.
That you just can't be that invested in the Buffalo Bills that you're crying when they lose because we are going to lose.
Where were you after 13 seconds? Because I was crying. I needed that talk.
No, it's fine. I was there. I was telling my son.
Were you here or are you at home?
No, I was at home.
Because we had like 10 guys here.
Because I was telling my son, I said, listen, we lose these games. We lose these games. That's the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. One day, I hope before I die, before we die, whoever, has the, license plate, it was set up before. I hope that we win it. But you cannot expect to win these games as a Buffalo Bills fan.
That's garbage. Come on. They're all different people. Just because we
haven't won it. We haven't won it. You gotta be able to grit it out.
Yes,
We're waiting for Bill Belichick.
You bury it deep inside and just.
I had a similar experience after the Chiefs game. This past Chiefs game, my daughter, 13 now, she's a diehard Bills fan, 12 going on 13, and we kind of went upstairs and I did have the sense in the fourth quarter that here we go again type thing. But she was really amped up all day. I think she genuinely thought like this is Bills are gonna win. They're at home, and she just thought they're gonna win. And then so we went to bed, and I'm in a bedroom pretty close to hers, and she's kind of calling my name out from the other room for a half hour, like Dad. And I'm like, yeah, like trying to talk her off the ledge. She was downright depressed, sad, that they had lost. And I thought to myself, I remember being that kid in Super Bowl 25 in 1990. Like I was that kid when my dad had to tell me like
I was in fifth grade.
I mean, it was a big moment. It's a memorable moment for all these kids.
I lost $50.
And your daughter too.
Fifth grader.
I remember after Super Bowl 25, I remember being on the phone with my friend Chris, and like we just didn't talk. We were just like on the phone, like with dead air. Like we didn't talk. We're like just watching all of the post game interviews. I remember Jim Kelly coming out. They did an interview with Jim Kelly. They did an interview with Marv Levy, like in the hallway outside the locker room, and just there was it was like a gut punch.
Yeah.
Do you know? Sorry, I want to say this real quick. You know how many Chiefs dads have to deal with that shit? None. Such bullshit.
That kid,
don't worry, we're gonna win.
Bullshit. That kid in Boston who has the sign says I'm 12 years old and I've been to 15 parades. He's got the logos of all the different.
Well, and you know what's
hate that
funny?
kid.
So two things.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt.
So two things. One, I said to my son, you got to watch the Four Faults of Buffalo.
Oh God!
All right, you got to watch it. This is our history. This is your, what's happened before you were even alive. This is where we originate from. You got to know the 4 in a row. You got to understand. All right, you got to know that since you were born, we had fucking playoff droughts, and you're seeing good Bills football for the first time in 20 years. Okay? That's great. I love it. Love Josh Allen. We're finally in the mix. That's great. Look at the fucking Buffalo Sabres. Okay? That's why nobody in Buffalo cares about fucking hockey right now. We were just at the Kenmore East game.
Yep.
Where they were in the division, the sectional game.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
All the dads are going ape shit. They're going crazy. They're like, hey, kids, fucking... they're yelling at the students. They're like, hey, students, fucking get into this game.
Parents were louder than the student section, Chris.
These students have all been born in a drought era of Sabres hockey.
Who brought Debbie Downer over here?
I'm just saying.
He's a realist.
I was not
The Sabres have not been...
You need that soundbite.
The Sabres have not been good or in the playoffs since these kids have been born. The Bills have not been good for a long time, and now they're good. And these kids are like, I don't know how to deal with this. And it's like, you have to deal with this because we're Buffalo sports fans.
They usually have to deal with assholes like me who I have to remind Sabres fans.
Jesus.
They give
Turn
me
off his
grief.
mic.
You're...
Pull it away.
All right, I turned him off.
Let me say this real quick though. I've been teaching middle school kids for 20 years, and it's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that they wore Bills jerseys to school, and that I had a chance to shoot the shit with the kids about the Bills and like talk on a Monday morning about the win. I spent the first 3 quarters of my career never bringing up the Bills because the kids could have cared less about Tyrod Taylor and Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, and the Sabres, they don't even really wear Sabres jerseys yet still. So
my neighbor across the street, his son, I think he's like in 10th grade now or something, but he grew up, he was always wearing a Brady jersey.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, God.
it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and we're at the block party. I said, Matt, so help me. If I see Sawyer out here in a Josh Allen jersey, I'm ripping it off of him and I'm throwing it in the trash. Like I was like, but that you had a whole generation of kids that just the Bills were bad.
Right.
They just were bad. And like football's an awesome sport to watch. Hockey's an awesome sport to watch. But there's nothing local to like tie them in and get them excited. And hockey's tough because when your football team is bad, you're sad. They lose. You're angry on Sunday. You're sad on Monday. By Tuesday, you're getting over it. By Wednesday, you're dialed into the next game because you listen to the media interviews. And by Thursday, you're convinced that they're going to win. Hockey, you're reminded every 2 days that your team is bad.
Yeah,
that's the difference between the two sports. That you're just constantly reminded your team is not good.
Nope, Sean. Nope.
I was going to bring some positivity here, and talking about the Bills, the Sabres, our beloved Bruins. It's important to remember though there are long-suffering NFL franchises. Like, to think that a Miami Dolphins franchise has not won a playoff game in 24 years.
It's
good.
Awesome.
I mean,
it's so good.
right? I mean, there are franchises out there, whether it's the Chargers or the Texans or
The Lions.
Jacksonville or whatever Lions. I mean, that the Browns had that have gone through this sometimes half a century drought of no Super Bowl appearances, no championships. Misery does love company, but it's those things that give me a little bit of solace as a Bills fan that says it's not all bad, but yeah.
One of the things that was difficult during the Bills drought is, aside from a couple seasons, they were always like milling around like 7-9, 6-10, 8-8. One of the years, I think they were actually 9-7.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't. So they were never drafting in a great position. The leadership that was in place, aside from the Sammy Watkins trade, they were never swinging for the fences. I remember the one year was like 2007. They drafted like from all small schools. Like that was the only scout that reported in. It was like all these players from schools. Like I didn't even know that was a school. Anyways, I digress.
Is Sammy Watkins the Devontae Adams draft
Yes,
where the Bills passed on him?
I think so.
Yeah, Professor Pizza still loses sleep over that.
I don't think they passed on him. They just picked Sammy Watkins first, I think.
Well, they
That was
traded
like
up for
Odell
Sammy
Beckham
Watkins.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but above Odell Beckham.
Also, they
Mike
passed
Evans
on a
too,
couple.
right?
Mike Evans.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Same
they got
draft.
Watkins at like 4, didn't
Yeah.
they?
They traded up from 9 to 4, I think
Yeah.
it was. And they got Watkins.
Evans went like 7 or
That was a
9.
miss.
Well, that
I
goes
missed that one.
back to Sean's luck.
Beckham went like 12.
But
or
Watkins won a
10.
Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
Good
It
point.
goes back to them overdrafting E.J. Manuel the year prior
God.
and doubling down in terms of trying to get him a weapon.
Hey, can you confirm or deny that he was picked because they were doing Bruce Smith a favor?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I couldn't tell you.
rumor was that he was like his nephew or something, and Bruce was like
I
draft him.
forgot there was some kind of relation there, but I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think that Buddy Nix wanted. He said, "I'm not going to leave until I've drafted until I bring in a franchise quarterback." And so he said, "All right, this is the best I can do in 2013." Okay, bye.
He was the first quarterback selected in that draft, and it wasn't until like 17. I want to say.
Anytime you trade down, you're not drafting your franchise quarterback.
No,
Right.
no. Speaking of Bruce Smith, who's your all-time favorite Bills player?
Stevie Johnson. Which I know it's weird. It's like someone who grew up watching the Super
Hall of
Bowl
Famers?
teams. Yeah, but Stevie Johnson, I've gotten to know him on like a different level, and he's just such a
Okay, take
great
him
guy.
out. Who's your second favorite?
That's not exciting. Give me something exciting. Probably. I can't say Josh Allen, right? It has to be like historical.
No, you can. Whatever. I mean,
No, it doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
too easy.
Okay,
Yeah, no, it doesn't count.
I would say
Too
it's-
easy.
It's a tie between. Oh no, it's not. It's probably Thurman Thomas.
Yeah, mine too.
Like I love Jim Kelly. I love Bruce Smith.
Oh, Bruce is my favorite. I think.
Andre Reid, but like Thurman Thomas. Like I don't think even now people understand how good Thurman Thomas was. Like how good he was as a running back. Like when there was a 3-game stretch in like 90 was it when Jim Kelly was out for 3 games, and like the entire game plan, Frank Reich did a great job. He threw some great passes, and this is before the comeback game and all that legend stuff. But like that offense ran through Thurman Thomas, and you knew that the defense knew the ball's going to Thurman, and they couldn't stop him anyway.
MVP.
MVP 1992,
Yeah.
92 season.
91, I think.
91?
Yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't
For
remember.
me, it's Chidi Hanatu, no doubt.
Who? Shidi Ahanatu.
Chidi Hanatu.
He's the one from Toronto, right? That like took the limo to training camp every day.
Bill's legend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Herb,
Tell me, Herb.
quickly tell them the story about the Christmas gift. Your son's first NFL Buffalo Bills jersey. Who was it?
Wait, which one?
He was a punter.
Oh yeah, yeah. My son was a big fan of
Mormon?
Corey Bajorquez.
New England Patriot.
Yeah, my son was a big Corey Bajorquez guy, and I told him, "You're wrong for thinking this," but that was his guy. He was a big Corey Bajorquez guy.
Did you have to order that jersey?
And I ordered him a special jersey, and we got it for him.
And
it's kind of a cool jersey. Like looking back on it, like I have some shitty jerseys in my closet. Don't get me wrong.
Let's hear a few.
I have a Rob Johnson. I have a Peerless Price. I have Travis Henry.
I wonder if his kids have that.
I'm trying to think of shitty jerseys because those are all great jerseys.
Travis Henry.
What else? I can't think of the others I have right now off the top of my head. It'll come to me though.
When my kids were little, they always got the discount jerseys of former players because, like, you're 5. Who cares?
Right.
You're wearing an Owens jersey, or you're wearing a fit. They upgraded from Owens
McGahee
to Fitzpatrick. I have a McGahee jersey. 2004, man, he was going to be amazing.
He was.
I passed over Sean Alexander in 2005 in the draft because I had the number 2 pick. And it was LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, and Willis McGahee in that order. But I went so homer that I got McGahee. Oh. And then Sean Alexander set the record for touchdowns in a season that year. Yeah. That was great. Good job, Del.
I gotta say, those jerseys that are the guys who just got fucking traded or gone are the best jerseys. One Christmas, I remember, because I accosted my mom about it, but now I get such good compliments about it. I have a Quinn Early jersey.
Nice.
And a Joey Juneau Sabres jersey.
Nice.
Wow. And I can't
number 90.
I can't tell you the number of compliments I get on my Joey Juneau jersey.
I bet, dude. Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I have a Spielman jersey in the Bills.
That's a great.
Yeah, he was legit. It was 95, 96.
Yeah, like that Bryce Pop era.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also have a Phil Hansen jersey that I'm very proud of. I love that jersey.
Del, thank you for your time. Well,
yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking wrap this shit up.
See yourself out and goodbye. Okay. Special thanks to Del Reid, 26 shirts, Bills Mafia.
Our NFL fan of the year.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well said. Well said.
Thank you, Del. Thank you.
Yes.
I feel the love.
And that being said, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
ZA Bills Podcast is a presentation of Kmart Productions, sponsored by MJB Electric and Dudza Chiropractic. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't, please follow, rate, review the show. It helps with the algorithm. ZA Bills is executively produced by me, Kyle. Executive sound engineering by yours truly, also me. Fundraising, also by Kyle. All artwork executively produced by Avery and Mark Rochon. What the heck is this? All music and lighting executively produced by Kyle. That's more like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please drive carefully, arrive home safely. Good night. Yeah, baby.